Welcome to the Midnight Gathering with Nancy Nightmare
and the Wizard.
Join us where the bizarre,
the mysterious, and the macabre meet.
And Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to our special New Year's episode.
Happy New Year, everyone. Wishing everybody a phenomenal 2025.
I can't look at you right now. So just so you know, if you're wondering about the ensembles, we are dressed to support the theme of the film that we selected.
Yeah, and I'm really digging the look.
I am very punk rock right now.
I am very punk rock right now.
Punk rock.
I think that's heavy metal.
Whatever. This movie doesn't care. This movie doesn't care. I really kind of look like heavy metal Barbie at the moment.
Yep.
But for the purposes of this film, this is very punk rock.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm leaning more towards the spookier side of punk rock. But yeah, I'm digging it.
I feel like they just said, good enough.
Good enough indeed.
They said, we're going to make a punk rock movie. We're going to have a song that doesn't make any sense with it. Good enough. And we're going to dress all the extras like this.
Yep. Yeah.
I feel a little bit like Pat Benatar, which is cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like a lost member of Bauhaus.
There you go. I'm kind of digging it. I put like lipstick on as blush because I didn't have anything bright enough.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Oh, yeah.
If you're not watching this, please head over to YouTube and check out the ensembles.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So tonight we're ringing in the new year with a special look at New Year's Evil from 1980, a slasher film that tries to combine punk rock, a killer with a penchant for costume changes, and a holiday killing spree. Was the killer scary? No. Was the punk rock authentic? Not even close. Did the theme song sound something bizarre, like a progressive hair metal band? Absolutely. But here's the thing. It's so bad, it's almost fun. Almost. Let's pop some champagne and break down this train wreck of a movie.
And boy, was it a train wreck.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is like one of these canon films that was trying to capitalize on the slasher genre. It was coming off of like Halloween and Friday the 13th, and this was their interpretation of a slasher film.
Yeah. I didn't know anything about this movie going in. I knew it was a slasher. I knew there was a lot of music in it. I thought that'll be cool.
Yeah.
Boy, was I wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a really odd movie because like you think it's going to be really fun, and
it was fun. It wasn't too painful to watch. If that's the best endorsement I can give a film. Yeah. It wasn't that painful to watch.
Yeah, and it was trying to combine like slasher movies. It was trying to combine like punk rock music, and the aesthetic, and it wasn't even close on either side.
Didn't hit any of the marks, but for some reason I kind of like it. So let's go into the plot.
All right.
The film centers on Diane Blaze Sullivan, Roz Kelly, played by Roz Kelly, a radio personality hosting a live New Year's Eve countdown show for the cool kids, by which I mean confused-looking extras.
Blaze receives a creepy phone call from a man who identifies himself as Evil. Evil promises to murder someone each time zone as the clock strikes midnight.
What follows is a series of murders where Evil strangles, stabs, and smothers his victims while sporting various disguises, including a priest and a hospital worker disguise. Meanwhile, Blaze continues hosting the worst New Year's Eve party ever, oblivious to the chaos that is unfolding.
The big twist? Evil is actually Blaze's husband, Richard, who's killing because, get this, he's angry that she gives him an allowance. Also, their son, the equally lame Derek, is unraveling in the background, setting up a sequel that thankfully never happened.
Yeah. So his reasoning for all of this was basically misogyny.
Yep.
He's angry at women. He mentioned the allowance. That he's mad that he's a kept man, basically.
Yeah.
I'd be thrilled if I were him.
He was a kept man in a sanitarium up in Palm Springs. Is that correct?
Well, that's where he was previously. Right.
Right.
Do we know if Blaze knows about his past? We don't know. We really don't know. I can't look at you right now. We can't see your face. You keep what is this character?
I'm anti-establishment right now.
You're very punk rock,
I am very punk rock.
like all the extras in this movie.
Yeah. Well, just to give some context, so this is set against 1979 LA punk scene. So we're talking like the Germs, we're talking
Yeah, it has nothing to
Black
do with any of that,
Flag.
though.
Nope.
There's no reference to any of that whatsoever.
And I guess the story goes that the club scene where it was filmed was like several streets down from Mosque, which was a known punk rock venue. It was like one of the few places in LA where they would allow punk rock bands to play. And they could have gotten extras from there, but they didn't.
No, they went a different path.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the music, too. The music, I guess the soundtrack was supposed to follow it after the film, but it never materialized.
I will say, though, creating something takes bravery. And so I'm very hesitant to ever tear apart. Maybe it makes me a bad film reviewer, but as a musician who does what I think is pretty original music, horror music that's kind of pop rock, it's not punk, with our themes are not what you'd normally hear.
Right.
I am always proud of people for trying things, and they certainly tried things in this film. And you know what? I'm thankful it exists, because a world without films like this would be a lot darker place.
Well, I mean, some of the internet is kind of peppered with this stuff, right? Like they have their interpretation of what they think a particular subgenre is, and then you're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
So let's go into what's wrong with this picture.
Okay.
So let's start with the killer. A good slasher villain should be terrifying, or at least memorable. Evil, on the other hand, is kind of pathetic. His phone calls are supposed to be menacing, but they land somewhere between awkward telemarketer and late night DJ trying too hard to sound mysterious.
And then there's the punk rock scene. The film gives us the band playing what sounds like a 12-bar blues jam, while the crowd dressed in leather, chains, and questionable wigs.
That was aggressive.
Well, I'm trying to be punk rock. Tries to mosh in slow motion. It's as if the director said, I don't know what punk is, but I think it involves denim jackets and headbanging.
It's good enough.
Good enough.
Oh, and the theme song. New Year's Evil tries to sell us on its anthem, which sounds something like something Poison might have rejected in 1984.
Yeah. It sounds like something like Poison meshed with Rush.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like it's giving metal. New Year's Evil.
I think you even made it sound tougher.
Yeah, I'm just naturally tough.
I love the scenes where like the punk rockers are like starting fights with everyone on Sunset, making their way down to the venue.
They're bad dudes.
Bad dudes indeed.
He had a comb that it would look like a switchblade.
Right.
He was a bad dude.
My favorite part is when they call the cops and the detective blames them for the killings.
Victim blaming right off the bat.
Yeah, he was like, you people.
You people. If anyone ever says you people, you know you're about to get something that's pretty bigoted.
Oh, for sure. You know, I mean, with songs like We Don't Need No Education being like the song that was being requested.
That's right. I didn't even think of that. How insulting. And Blaze, first of all, I want it to be known that I owned this tank top already. That I used to be in a metal tribute band, and I had a character named Blaze St. James.
Yeah.
So I have a special place in my heart for her being called Blaze. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, that's my name. That's my metal alter ego.
Yep.
So she really doesn't look very punk rock. She's an older woman.
Right.
Oh yeah, I shouldn't say older. She's probably younger than me. I don't know. But she's like in her 30s. And she's
anti-establishment.
Okay, she's very punk rock. But her son is like 30. No, I don't know if he's 30.
Right, she has like a 20-year-old son or something.
They
like,
kiss on the mouth. It's very like Oedipus complex.
But what's really weird is like she's a punk icon while she's raising what seemed to be like a young adult now, right? Like a 20-year-old
young adult. Yeah, he's an actor.
Right.
That doesn't surprise me.
Right. That she totally dismisses when he says...
Yeah, he was trying to tell her good news about a part he got, and she totally dismissed him which really sent him off the Norman Bates deep end.
Right. But we already knew that Richard was the killer right off the bat.
Wait, that's the thing. Why are we trying to set him up, the son up, as a possible killer when we've literally seen the killer's face?
Right. So this is probably the first slasher film to actually show the face of the killer.
I mean, I don't know if it was the first, but they showed it right off the bat.
Right.
They don't tell you that he is Derek's father,
Right.
Derek, the creepy son, or Blaze's husband.
Yeah.
But I figured that out pretty fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because as soon as I saw the crazy ass son, I said, well, that's got to be the crazy ass father.
Right.
I shouldn't say crazy ass. But this wasn't a real representation of mental illness. This was comic book mental illness.
I mean, maybe there are guys who get like this.
Well, that's true, but he was exceptional though. And my favorite part were his disguises, the little mustache. He just carried around a little bag of disguises with him, and his little boombox.
Right. He was like stuck carrying his boombox around.
Oh my god! And then, have you ever seen a slasher film where the killer gets chased and has to run from people?
That's
like,
right. The bikers.
The bikers almost kicked his ass. So he's like hiding from the bikers.
Yep.
I mean,
but then he kills one of them.
The more I talk about it, I think I kind of love this movie.
Well, I mean, somebody had to, because Scream Factory re-released this film.
I think I love it. I think I have to get the Blu-ray now. I'm going to watch it every year now. So I can acknowledge that it's not a great film.
Right.
But it's good for me.
Right. Well, here's the thing. New Year's Evil is a mess, but it's an entertaining mess. It's the kind of movie you watch with friends so you can laugh at the ridiculous dialogue, bizarre character choices, and the fact that evil spends more time in costume changes than actually killing people, which, I mean, could be amusing or annoying depending on what it is that you want in this movie.
I feel like if I were a killer, I would have a lot of costume changes.
One for each murder.
But you have to have an ensemble, darling. Roz Kelly gives it her all as Blaze, even though her character has the personality of a paper plate. She really does. And Kip Niven tries to make evil scary, but ends up coming off like someone's dad who got way too into method acting.
The movie also has a certain kitschy charm. The dated fashion, the awkward party scenes, the over-the-top melodrama make it a time capsule of the 1980s. Horror trying to cash in on the slasher craze.
Yeah. I think the costumes were a lot of the fun.
Yeah, I mean, some of it was authentic for sure, you know, but it's just like the music was wrong, and
like some of the kills were pretty good.
Yeah, but you never really like see the brutality
much. If it's for a slasher, I want it bloodier.
Right.
I know I'm starting to come off like a little twisted because I always want things a little bloodier.
Yep.
But that's the fun of it. It's a thrill. It's supposed to be a thrill. The biggest jump scare in the movie is when a cat jumped out of a dumpster.
That's hilarious. Cat jump scare.
Literally, it was a cat jump scare.
Yep.
So, and then I will say the girl, I actually wrote down her name because it was really funny. One of the victims, Sally, was into transcendental meditation.
Right.
And she was so annoying that I was almost excited for evil to kill her in the car. I was like, oh my God, is she going to stop yapping?
Didn't she like totally like call her friend out by saying that it helped her with her diarrhea?
That was so rude. I did feel bad for the friend. Oh, can we talk about, okay, so they go to the liquor store, Sally and her friend.
Yep.
And Evil's driving them. He didn't expect to take both of them.
Yeah.
But Sally insisted on bringing her friend, who apparently has diarrhea.
Right.
So her friend goes into the liquor store to get some booze. And we have the weirdest scene where the guy who works at the liquor store, he's so earnest. And they have this moment, and the way, I think he says Happy New Year's, but the way he says it, it's like he knows she's going to die.
Right.
It was a very
like,
bizarre moment.
Excuse me, sir. How do you know that my friend's going to die?
Why did they play the scene that way? I want to know.
Yeah.
It looked like they were going to a funeral. It was just very odd.
Maybe he had a premonition.
Oh, look at you putting 2 and 2 together and getting 5.
Punk rock.
It's the power of punk rock that's propelling this episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can literally just say punk rock.
Punk rock.
What is punk rock anymore? Is this the Disney Channel version of punk rock? So, final thoughts. New Year's Evil isn't good. It's not good. But it's the kind of bad that can still bring a smile to your face. It's a film that tries to combine horror, punk rock, and holiday cheer, but ends up creating a glorious mess that's oddly endearing.
So as we ring in the new year, let's raise a glass to movies like this, because sometimes it's fun to celebrate the ridiculous. And remember, if someone calls you at midnight and tells you their name is Eva,
He loves saying that.
just hang up.
Just hang up.
Just hang up.
Again. Black Christmas. Just hang up.
Hang up.
New Year's Evil. Just hang up.
Now, I don't think people, did not refuse to answer the phone, although I
Never, even back then,
Yeah.
it was going to the machine.
Yeah, it's like it set off my PTSD when I would hear that phone.
Yeah, I'm not into answering the phone at all. You're going to call me with your voice?
Evil. I'm going to commit murder.
And they gave him a voice changer to use, and it just made him sound goofier.
Right.
It's just shocking. The movie is shocking to me that so many people were involved in it, and this is what it was. And the acting wasn't bad.
Yeah. So don't go in with a lot of expectation.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, I mean, obviously we spoiled the big reveal that Evil is Blaze's husband.
Right.
But I figured it out within like 5 minutes.
Yeah. How about the ridiculous poem that he tells before he dies? He throws himself off the ledge.
his monologue before he died.
And in some ways, he's like the better parent, right? Because he actually took time to acknowledge his son's accomplishments when he was like saying he got that part all by himself.
I do have to say that she was kind of a mother.
Well, she was busy becoming a punk icon.
She was a punk. Yeah, right. When you're a punk icon, I should know because look at me. I'm a punk icon now. You don't have time for the minutia of your children's lives.
Right. Like somewhere out there, some kids like telling their mom that, hey, I'm growing my social media fan base, and she's like too preoccupied with her social media.
I have a punk rock New Year's Eve special to get to. I don't care.
And we're going live on Instagram.
Yeah. So his speech about why he did this is basically, I don't like women. Women are mean.
Yeah. They're very bad.
Very bad. And he went after naughty women.
Yeah.
Was he the original incel? And his son? Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although he wasn't celibate. Man, I got to hand it to Evil. When he dressed up as the orderly at the hospital, he got in that lady's pants quickly.
No, but he killed her.
I know, but what I'm saying is his charm.
Yeah. Yeah, he was also a good-looking villain.
Handsome. You can never tell. If I saw him pull up to me at the discotheque, because he did go into a discotheque.
I realize that this is a knife-wielding disgruntled husband who's getting a allowance from his wife.
Jeez. How much is the allowance? Is it worth it?
You see the FBI file on this one.
Yeah. This was it was a funny movie. And honestly, I wasn't bored watching it.
Yeah. So sugar mamas, if you're out there,
be careful.
Be careful.
No good deed goes unpunished. If you start giving your husband an allowance, you think this is great. He's a kept man.
Yeah.
No, he might turn into evil.
He might start resenting you.
And next thing you know, he's going on a messed up murder spree in different costumes.
Yep.
So don't give money to men is the point of this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And make sure like you get your punk rock right too.
Or don't. You could also just dress up like a heavy metal band and play a 12-bar blues. And then just like dress up the audience in punk costumes.
Right.
And have them like kind of lazily mosh.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to feel like we're like gatekeeping, but there's a lot that's really wrong with this.
It's not. I don't care. I don't have any musical genre. I'm not a musical snob. I have you want to call something, you do it. I don't care. You live your life how you want to live it. God knows I cross genres and borrow things, and I'm not a purist about anything.
No, I know, but this is just like everything is wrong, right? Because it's like 1979, 1980, like there was certain bands that had a very simple sound, and instead they got this weird version of what they thought, like the producers thought, or whoever was the musical supervisor made this call, was like, oh, well, punk music sounds like this.
I freaking love the song.
It's so quirky and weird.
New Year's Evil. Like, I love it. It's weird. It's almost disco-y.
Yeah.
But punk rock, it is not.
Yeah.
Punk is so easy.
Yeah.
It's 1, 4, 5.
Yeah.
It's very simple.
Yeah. And I'm going to call myself out. Maybe I'm not in the most punk rock outfit right now. So
I'm
kind of like
punks or whatever. I dabble in things. I'm not a purist, and I don't like purists.
Yeah.
But this takes it a little too far because it's acting like it is something.
Right.
And it's not even remotely that thing.
Right.
It's not borrowing elements. It's just not doing the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. If you guys have seen New Year's Evil or are going to see it, let us know what you think in the comments below.
Yeah.
Like, what are your thoughts?
So can you believe it's 2025?
Yeah.
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do for the new year? Obviously, we're gonna keep going with the podcast.
Murder.
Punk rock.
Murder.
We're gonna do the heavy metal thing with punk rock. Evil. I mean, what do you think would have been on Evil's vision board for?
His wife.
Yeah. A hatchet of some sort.
Yeah. Man, but that's a lot of work, right? Because he's got to kill.
He had a lot of accessories for a murderer.
Yeah. And it's so funny at the end, like they mentioned like Honolulu, Hawaii celebrating New Year's. So like they're spared the potential for somebody else being killed. So it was kind of weird, right? Because like, wasn't his wife supposed to be the last person killed?
Right.
So why did they have Hawaii playing in the background?
Well, they also used Aspen, Colorado as the mountain time zone. I'm like, Aspen?
Everybody was skiing.
But like, it's so random.
Well, because I guess maybe in their minds, they thought, well, when you think of Colorado, you think skiing. So we'll find the mountain resort.
You know, if I think about it though, Richard Sullivan, a.k.a. Evil, he had a lot going for him. He was good looking, right? He could be very persuasive when he wanted to be. And most importantly, he was a good project manager. He kept a schedule. He set a goal and he accomplished his goals.
Yep.
Except for the final one.
Right.
But I do think that he had a lot going for him. Now, if he had just gotten away from being bat crazy, he could have been a very successful person.
Well, except that why at the end he decides to put on the mask?
Because it was a cool shot, man.
Yeah.
And he was a man of costumes.
I wish they had used a mask because it's so creepy.
It was a creepy mask. And it would have protected his identity so we could have gone, oh, is it the weirdo son? That's a good point. Why was the weirdo son even there? Yeah. Oh, that's right. They were setting up a sequel.
Right. But it's like, it was like confusing, right? Because like the dad doesn't wear a mask, doesn't don a mask till the end. His son, after we've already done the big reveal of who the killer is, like all of a sudden he's like cutting up like this fishnet.
Oh, that was his mommy's stocking.
Yeah, and he's putting it over his head. And we're like, is that supposed to be like, we're supposed to now assume that he might be the killer too? We already know who's doing it.
We know who's doing it. But there was a big element of incest in this movie.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, they kissed on the lips when they came. It was very like provocative. And he had his mommy's leggings and he was putting them on his head. It was a real Oedipus complex happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw it. Hey, maybe I'm messed up, but I saw it.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
I guess like there are moments where I was kind of checked out. Like giggling, like wondering why they made this decision.
Yeah. By the way, the band that did the song New Year's Evil, Shadow, doesn't seem to exist. I was looking them up. I can't find them anywhere. I don't know. It must have just been, I'm guessing, like maybe some studio musicians at the time. Because
or the song is so bad that they didn't want to be affiliated with it.
Do you think Shadow went into hiding? Shadow, if you're out there, please comment.
Yeah.
I love the song. I love it. It's not a punk song. It's a fun song.
Yeah. Well,
I'm going to cover it.
If you like it, comment below.
I'm going to cover it.
What are your thoughts of the Shadow song?
Very metal, really, but punk rock. Punk rock, man.
Punk rock, man.
Like the man. Even though you're in your 40s.
Yeah.
Which I think some of these characters were.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know what else to say about this other than you should really check it out. What better way to bring in the new year than to watch an absolutely absurd slasher from the 80s?
Yep.
And we hope that you'll meet us again at the Midnight Gathering. Until next time, stay spooky.